let me know when you're
Dude,
ready, and we are good to go.
Just tell me we're recording. That's all. Which means start it as soon as possible, and then just tell me when it started. No, I would fucking
live.
if you give me some ahead of time, I would fucking absolutely like join you. You know?
Yeah, they texted me earlier today, and I was like, yeah, let's do it. Let's see what's up.
Yeah, that's last minute.
Why not?
All right, we are doing episode nobody knows.
We need to start a new count because it's been a while.
Yeah, maybe. No, we just gotta take stock.
That's true. Yeah.
All right, unfortunately, it's the two worst people, but you know what? We're gonna roll forward with it.
Yeah, unlistenable probably, but here we go.
Oh yeah, I wasn't gonna go that far, but
let's talk capitalism.
So real quickly, let's talk about some stupid shit that I've been posting. Real quick.
Sure, yeah, go ahead.
Just real quick. You seen this Iranian president headline I posted?
Oh my god. I actually read this at a BBC article like not too long before you posted that. I was dying when I saw what he said. Just amazing. Like, oh my god, he came out swinging.
Afflicted by mental retardation.
Iranian president, Trump White House afflicted by mental retardation.
Incredible.
Did you see the tweets that Trump sent out right after that, by the way?
No, but he's probably butthurt.
I mean, anybody would be triggered. Super triggered.
Well, yeah. Maybe because it hit too close to home. Who knows?
Shit.
Who knows, dog?
That's the thing that's gonna hurt Trump the most too, is just calling him fucking retard. That's insane.
Also, him pulling back, I was a fan of.
Yes.
I don't know why it was approved in the first place. Okay, he approved that. See, I just feel like we live in this reality show now, where it's like Trump will maximize drama. So I feel like in this is our president. And this literally seems plausible, and it's our president. It seems plausible to me that he would approve them with already in mind thinking, I'm going to pull it back at the last minute just for the drama. Like, that seems plausible to me. So, that's...
It's not... It's actually not... I mean, it's certainly not the standard way to send a message, but it does send a message. You know what I mean?
Pulling back?
Yeah, because at the last minute, he was like, all right, we're going to pull back. Because I was ready to strike you.
That's...
I mean, it's a form of foreign policy.
Yeah. No, that's fine. I'm not even... But I was, like, thinking about... It's not... I mean, it's one way to interpret it. I don't know if it's a message. I think it's just...
What, you think it's just mismanagement?
No, not even that. I just think he's all about the attention and drama. So whatever is going to... heighten that is
you don't even okay, so you're saying this isn't calculated. He's just
no, I'm
for attention.
Well, no, I am saying I don't know. Yeah, for sure I don't know if it's calculated. I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying it is plausible to me that he would think this through and be like, I'm going to approve them just to disapprove them at the last minute. Just because it's dramatic, or even just because like I fucking want to. Who knows? So whatever is
nobody knows what he thinks and the way he thinks.
You don't okay, so you're saying this isn't calculated.
I can't think of any other person that is like Donald Trump. Seriously, I can't.
Certainly not any other president.
So, no, that's not even what I meant. I just meant people. So,
oh my
what are you gonna do?
God.
And then I post a lot of other shit here about how like we spend too much on dumb shit, and we should be spending it on healthcare and education. And like raising wages and shit like that, and not fucking worrying about spending $775 a day on detention camps, where reports even come out after that they just treat them like crap. So you're thinking, where does all this money go if they get treated like crap and it costs this much to house them? Like you could literally get an A+ hotel room for $775 a night. You kidding me? No doubt you could. So what is going on? Especially on these border towns. This isn't New York City. You know what I'm saying? Like this is like... So, and that's when I said like, oh, you got all these fucking... I bet you there's a bunch of contractors with their hand in the cookie jar. Taking money. Charging for this, charging for that. And then just like giving the worst fucking, you know? So,
I wonder how they calculate the number, but yeah.
Along those lines, I want to, since we're recording also, before we start this article, main article, I want to officially state that I'm down with Elizabeth Warren, no doubt. I'm down with Bernie still for sure. But if it's Warren v. Trump, she's my vote.
She's been surging. I gotta say, I haven't.
It's not about the surge. It's about the plans and the vision.
Right. It's also nice to jump on board with somebody that has an actual.
What did she say in the debates last night? I didn't watch them, but I read somewhere she said in the debates last night, "We're gonna abolish private prisons. Period. End of story." I was like, I don't know why we have private prisons. That doesn't make sense to me. So yeah.
Well, because obviously the free market can manage a prison system better than the government can. Obviously.
My god, that can be its own fucking episode if you want it. Me just bashing what you said. That can be its own episode if you want it to be. Come on, yo.
Yeah, I gotta.
All right, anyway.
I have to watch. I still have yet to watch last night's debate. I plan on doing it, but.
Oh, I'm not gonna do that. No, I'm not gonna do that.
Oh, I'm totally gonna do it. I saw some clips and I was kind of cringing a bit. A few of them were like speaking Spanish, and it just felt very insincere.
Oh, that's so pandery.
Did you see that? It was like,
yeah, I didn't see it, but my boy Secular Talk had a video today about it.
Oh yeah, it just felt so insincere. Just felt.
He said it felt like pandering, and he played a clip too, and it definitely sounded like it was like, oh Jesus. Yeah. So yeah, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
Well, yeah, I mean that's the game,
All
right?
So let's talk about innovation.
Let's talk about innovation and capitalism.
What drives it? Well, that's fair. So
because the idea is typically people.
For full transparency here, we are from. Oh, if you may allow me, we are from Rochester, New York.
Oh, devastating! I'm exposed.
What's
now.
devastating?
You doxed
me. Oh
me.
my god. Okay.
All our viewers are gonna find me now.
Okay, listen. How many three brothers are Caleb Cyril Chad? They literally were already exposed. So we're from Western New York.
No, you could say Rochester.
And okay, we're from Rochester, New York. Chad's not being a little weak. So we're from Rochester, New York, and Kodak was a deal here. And you posed a question to us in a chat earlier this week, or maybe a couple weeks ago, whenever it was, about innovation. If I remember it correctly, and I'm going to allow you to correct me right now, right after, you wanted to ask the question, what drives innovation? Is that correct? Or was it specifically to capitalism?
No, specifically with capitalism. And I kind of was just bullshitting with a buddy, but
sure.
The which is what spurred me to think of this initially. But my question was, does capitalism in a competing market always incentivize innovation?
Right. Okay. Well, that's always. That's a hard no. If the question is always.
Right.
It's a hard.
Well, I mean, it's more of a jumping off point. You don't have to take the question that literally.
It depends on that. Oh, for sure. No, I know that. But definitely for me, the answer is no to that. And anyways.
Well, so the reason we bring up Kodak, the reason I mentioned Kodak was because
that's what I was going to say. Go ahead.
They happened upon the technology. They actually invented the technology initially in their R&D department for the digital camera, and then all the higher ups at Kodak was like, we need to bury that technology because all of our profits are from making film. So we need to bury the digital camera. And it's interesting, too, because you see a lot of camera companies these days, they have much lower profit margins. Like, it's not as profitable to be in the camera business these days because you're just selling a camera. You're not selling much of anything else. Whereas Kodak was making money hand over fist, actually making film, selling film. So I just thought that was interesting, and I feel like this is certainly not the only example of this.
So if you are a society that chooses to completely worship profits, then you will not spur innovation as well as you could. Because you just said in that example, hey, our profits are here. We're going to eschew this modern technology because all of our profits are here. And that ended up not being good for Kodak. Now, there's an argument
That's
to be
true.
made that the new reality for a camera company, especially only a camera company, is that like everybody has a cell phone and you're done.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
But
It's become an
that
edge.
doesn't mean. But here's the thing, and this is what I've always thought about companies. And that's why it blows my mind when they make such selfish decisions or short-term decisions or choose to only worship profits. Like, you can evolve. Like, if you're the entity Kodak, you didn't do enough to just stay relevant. Like, you could have just kept morphing and changing and realized that the future was changing constantly. Like, you just got to adjust. Like, you could have been the leader in, who knows, like the little pieces that make up the camera part of the phone. Like, if you were that cutting edge person and you got those patents, no matter who was making phones, they wanted your shit, you're still relevant. You've got to find a way to stay relevant. And there's an argument to be made that their profit margins are smaller these days, but I would argue that's like better for society. Like, I don't know, like, gone are the days of like, you know, big ass corporations that not necessarily big ass corporations, but that corner a whole market. You know what I'm saying? Like, Kodak was probably one of the last shells of them, even at its heyday. But like, I'm talking about like Carnegie Steel and Standard Oil. Like, that doesn't exist these days. We get upset with how big some corporations are. We can do better, but we can't. We don't. It's not like we can actually. It's not like we can say these corporations are like Standard Oil was at its heyday. That's crazy. That's not true.
Well, the monopolies tend to be different today because they tend to have their hands.
So
on
I get it. There's corporations who were of a different time, who were super large, and who wanted to maintain a certain level of profits because that's how they operated. But there's another argument to be had there where, well, Kodak could have still been more relevant. Even if they would have had smaller profit margins, they could have still adjusted and been relevant. Like, there's always a way you can stay relevant. Mm-hmm. Now, they're not dead, by the way.
No.
To be fair.
They're not
dead.
Filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, though, I believe.
Probably multiple times. They probably declared some kind of bankruptcy multiple times. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
So the overarching thing for me is just like, if you're just gonna worship profits, then you're not gonna have the most innovative society. I just feel like that's obvious.
Well, so
like, it's complicated.
It is complicated, and the thing is too is some people would say, well, capitalism makes sure that this doesn't happen, that innovation doesn't get stifled. Like, Kodak did get sort of minimized, and they were surpassed by other companies.
That's fine, but okay.
But I don't think that always works. And something big that I would point to in this day and age is renewable energy. Because how much money, like an insane amount of money, these big oil companies, and they all have back channels with each other, ensuring that their product is going to be in demand. So what you're going to do is try and discourage new technology that's going to surpass you, because you have so much money and influence, and you can predict. Like, that's what these companies
and we
do.
know that happens.
They pay to predict where the curve is, or where the trend's going to go, and they try and keep themselves on top.
And companies, there's always, you're a super successful smaller company, there's always a bigger company that's like, hey, we didn't innovate this, but we'll just buy you. Like,
right.
We'll just buy it.
Yeah. And then we'll just bury that technology.
Instagram. Yeah.
Like, that's
also,
in this day and age.
I don't think instability in companies like that is necessarily good for the stability of the job market and like jobs in general. And so that matters to a society too. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, if you've got to be, if it's a good job market, but it's super competitive and you've got to stay on top of learning every day, all the time. Like, how many people have you ran into that are a little older that like, just like not good enough on the computer, refuse to learn it, won't adjust? So like, you could have a good job market, but you're going to leave a lot of people behind if you have to like change a whole bunch. And I'm not saying that like we have to be 100% sympathetic. I'm just saying it's just better if there's some stability. So it's better if like a company sticks around.
It's interesting that bring that up, because something that Ted Cruz has talked about is how if he were making the decisions, he would outlaw AI for trucking, because it's a huge job market. So he's saying,
I agree with that.
Really? Let's completely stifle that technology. Let's back shelf that because we gotta.
So okay, how about this?
Surely
that's
there's
fair.
a better way
There's
forward.
a lot of things that you're right. There's a lot of things that don't make sense with that, or there's a lot of things that like.
I understand the sentiment,
but here's the thing: what is your solution? Because that's the only thing I've heard to fix the situation. Like, what would you do? That would not just rhetorical. Like that's the question I would ask. Like Ted Cruz has something he would do. And it may sound gross, it may sound overreaching, but he's got something he would do. What would you do? Like it's just easy to criticize something, and I need to. That's fine. You can easily pick this plan apart, but unless you have another solution, like these guys are going to lose their jobs.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna tell them they're not gonna. So I don't know what you're gonna do. And by the way, I'm open-minded. Like if someone comes in with a great idea, then that's fine. Then let's do that. But like we've seen these people who push back when like. Especially in the last decade or so in politics, we've seen these people who used to be coal miners and we're like, hey, we'll give you green energy jobs. And they're like, we don't care. We don't want them. It's like, okay, well, I don't know what to do. That's more complicated because that pertains to climate change. So that would affect my thinking on that more.
Yeah,
but as far as it comes to truck,
get rid of that
right. And that affects my mindset there. But as far as truck driving goes, like, yeah, dude, if I get elected by a bunch of constituents and half of them are truck drivers, like, I'm going to push for them to keep, like, I'm going to be like, nah, fuck AI. Like, what do you want me to say?
Right, but that is an example of you stifling innovation.
Correct. Absolutely. I would not say it is not. Because it literally is, for sure.
Yeah. So that's why I brought that up.
Yeah.
And there's more. I mean, cashiers. You know how many people are cashiers in this country? You know how easily replaceable that job is?
That's so easily replaceable, no doubt. No doubt. Look,
I don't know. We're going to have a lot of
conversations. I don't doubt, and this is what frustrates me with our society. I don't doubt that we'd come to some good solution, or how about this? The best solutions for a situation if you get a bunch of open-minded people who are intelligent and know their lane in the discussion at a table talking about this shit. But we can't do it, and we vote for these turds that are corrupt, like Chuckle Bunny Mitch McConnell. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's what you get. But no, I don't. If you get a bunch of open-minded people like sitting at a table and they're like, we're here to talk this through as to how we can come up with a good solution for this fucking problem we have of truck driving. We don't want to stifle innovation, okay? But we want these guys to have a solid future as human beings. Let's figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, people could figure that out. But, we don't have those people in charge.
No,
because that's Chuckle Bunny. We have Chuckle Bunny Hunter. Duncan Hunter, who fucking got exposed by the feds yesterday for using campaign funds to pay off 5 mistresses or use the money on the mistresses. I don't know. But he's a turd burglar. Oh, by the way, he was indicted before the elections last year and won. And still won. Also, your local turd burglar here in Western New York is named Chris Collins, who was indicted before the elections last year and still won.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
Go ahead. What were you going to say? I'm changing gears too much.
No, I mean, I was just going to bring up Roy Moore, who almost...
Oh, yeah, who's running again.
Is he? Is he running again?
Yeah, he announced last week, bro.
Good Lord.
Somewhere Doug Jones is smiling big as fuck, dude, when he announced. Somewhere Doug Jones, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Somewhere Doug Jones is like... Because the only way a Democrat wins in Alabama is if you run against a person like Roy Moore.
An actual pedophile. Allegedly. I guess I should say that. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't.
Anyway.
I think, to be fair, I think the only thing that came out was, and they were enough, but the only thing that came out was like he was super weird and he was definitely like macking on chicks that were like young. I don't know that it was ever confirmed that like he did anything like super cray as far as like rape or something like that. I don't know, yo. But dude, it was enough. All you gotta do is go back and read it. It was enough. It was enough to be like, all right, this guy's a fucking
weirdo, sure.
Yeah, it's enough that he wanted to put the 10 Commandments at the state capitol.
Oh,
okay, that's enough. Dude got impeached from this Alabama Supreme Court.
He did, yeah, because you refused. Didn't you refuse to remove it? And you refused
Republicans in Alabama impeached you over something religious. Republicans in Alabama. Man. You have to be so bad.
Oh, Roy Moore.
Yeah.
God bless America. But yeah, so I don't know. It's interesting because it almost suggests, though, going back to our main topic here,
Oh yeah.
that
Innovation.
in 50 to 100 years, that capitalism isn't going to be, at least not primarily, the churning engine that supports most working people. It's not going to be. It can't be. Not if innovation keeps marching on. So what are we going to do?
So and that's exactly the kind of discussions at that table that theoretical table I talked about would have to deal with. That
incredibly nuanced table that's never going to exist in American politics.
By the way, it's not even... these tables exist in think tanks and in places where like there's good discussion everywhere in this country and all over the world. But unless our leaders actually want to pull these levers, then we're fucked.
Right, but
I just it feels to me it feels to me, because the only thing that reasonable people can do, living their lives, working, trying their best here in this country, is vote. You need to vote. Like, that's what's actually going to like make things happen. And we have an electorate that refuses to deal with a modern world for now, and also refuses to deal with real problems that face us. Refuses, So it's just thinking about that. I said it out loud because just thinking about that is like, damn, dude. Like, once again, I've said this on the pod before, and I've told you this in private before when we've had discussions. I'm never gonna forget this interview of a scientist in China. This interview by some, I can't remember what it was. I think it was like some, not like some crazy right winger, but like someone on the right that just like went to China, was like interviewing people. I'm pretty sure, or maybe it was a religious figure, something like that. But he's interviewing this Chinese scientist, and he's talking about how Americans have like stifled certain research because of morals and blah 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 and religious values, and the Chinese scientist laughs at him, fucking laughs at him, and goes, "Yeah, we don't have that shit." Like, oh my god, like I can never. The reason why I will remember that interview to this forever is because like you, it's just like the realization of living in that country that dude's laughing at, as far as like scientific research. You're like, oh my god. Like, what is going on? Like, this is not good.
Oh, man.
So, we got a couple Chinese people who have used CRISPR already, or whatever the fuck happened a couple months ago that everybody got all mad about. So, it's tough,
messed
dude.
the DNA with a couple unborn babies. To be fair, I mean, that's...
Once again, circling back to innovation, unless we want to figure out how to deal with it, but also drive it not completely forward. There's obviously pitfalls in our society and economy, but like, don't do an awful job. It's not the Middle Ages, right? Like, innovation still, like, progress always moves. You know what I'm saying? Like, you've always heard that progress moves. It just does.
Yeah.
And if you have an electorate that isn't willing to deal with it, then the crash is going to be real hard, because there's going to be no safety net, no fucking safety net, and it's all just going to come down.
Yeah. Yeah. Because
so, not at once, but it'll be a fucking burn.
What is it? Revolution happens when you have too many people that are hungry, or something along those lines. When people can't provide, that's when things tend to topple.
But the same electorate could have avoided it by making smarter decisions in the way they vote.
Yeah, but nobody has that foresight. That's why we struggle.
Nobody does. Not nobody, but obviously not
no
enough.
Electorate body.
To be fair to the American electorate too, we need better candidates. We
need a better machine that churns out better candidates. That's what we need. Because by the time people get to the top, any sort of national stage, they're pieces of shit.
Right.
That's the problem. We need to improve how our democratic machine functions before we can even. But that's a whole other. Yeah.
Until then, innovation just runs away, and we refuse to deal with it. So.
And all of humanity comes toppling down.
No, not like that. But you'll get a really bad recession, borderline like depression.
Oh, it'll be depression, sure. Yeah. There's going to be a huge wake-up call.
Tough.
There's definitely going to be a huge wake-up call.
I don't think it's going to be like a fell swoop, but there's going to be a time where we do have to. You reap what you sow, brother. There will be a time where we're sowing. It's not gonna be like everybody. I feel like when I talk, not with you, but when I talk about this with some other people, it's like one day, or like when you see these crazy people on YouTube that are like, it's gonna happen in 2 days, everything's going to fall apart.
You gotta prep.
What the fuck are you talking about, dude?
Buy some cans of beans.
But it could be a few years of getting real whacked, no doubt. So,
wow. All the more reason to pay attention to the 2020 election.
A, and you're correct. But B,
we're in some very vital years.
Make sure you watch Jim Baker because he sells good preserved foods for the end times. Okay, now his end times are different than my end times.
His end times are
they are both end times
nonetheless. Flames. Here's what confuses me about his buckets, right?
They're supposed to be raptured.
Yeah, exactly. All the buckets are gonna sit in your basement because you got raptured. What do you mean? What do you need those end times buckets for? You're gone, baby.
That was
the
Jesus. First time I ever watched that video. That was even though it's not explicitly stated and you kind of need some context religious wise, which we have growing up.
Yeah.
That was the funniest part of it. That was the funniest part. It was like, everybody prepare for like some bullshit to happen. It's like, well, you're of the ilk that thinks the rapture is what is going to happen. So why do you need shit? Oh, you got to love it, dude.
You got to love it.
Yeah, no.
If anything, you're helping out the sinners because they're going to rifle through your basement and find your fucking Jim Baker buckets.
Oh,
help them survive.
Pastor Jim Baker.
All right, we should probably part ways so we could go.
Yeah.
Catch this debate. But thanks for tuning in. See you next week. God bless.
There you go. Oh, I'm